Hello everyone, welcome to my Middleton Market Research training video for an introduction to market research and political polling. Just wanted to share with everybody a little bit more about what we do here. First I want to start with just a little bit of an explanation, a background definition of market research. Market research basically is any organized effort to gather information about markets or customers. It is a very important component in business strategy. The term is commonly interchanged with marketing research. However, they are distinctly different in that marketing research is concerned specifically with marketing processes, while market research is concerned specifically with markets. Market research is a key factor to get advantage over competitors. Market research provides important information to identify and analyze the market need, market size, and competition. In our case, we do a lot more with political polling, so that would be questions like the political needs, the size of the voters, and the competition, how many people are voting for who. Market research includes social and opinion research and is the systematic gathering and interpretation of information about individuals or organizations using statistical and analytical methods and techniques of the applied social sciences to gain insight or support decision making. We help our clients decide what to do about things, be they political or business related. Something I thought was a little bit interesting, a little history of market research, began to be conceptualized and put into formal practice during the 1920s as an offshoot to the advertising boom of the golden age of radio in the United States. Advertisers began to realize the significance of demographics revealed by sponsorship of different radio programs. Through market information, one can know the prices of different commodities in a market as well as the different needs of respondents or voter base, as well as the supply and demand situations. Market trends or upward or downward movements of a market during a time period. The market size is more difficult to estimate if one is starting with something completely new. In this case, you have to derive the figures from the, we don't even need to know that one. See, all this stuff here I'm simply looking up on Wikipedia or any other search engine, anything like that. I simply typed in market research, and this is what I came up with here. And then some of the different type of polling we have going on. An opinion poll is basically a lot more about what we do. An opinion poll, simply sometimes referred to as a poll, is a survey of public opinion from a particular sample. Opinion polls are usually designed to represent the opinions of a population by conducting a series of questions and then extrapolating generalities in ratio or within confidence intervals, whatever the heck that meant. A little brief history on polls again. First known example of an opinion poll was a local straw poll conducted by the Harrisburg, Pennsylvanian in 1824, showing Andrew Jackson leading John Quincy Adams by 335 votes to 169 in the contest for the U.S. presidency. Jackson won the popular vote in the full election, and such straw votes gradually became more popular, but they do remain local, usually citywide. In 1916, the Literary Digest embarked on a national survey, partly as a circulation and raising exercise, and correctly predicted Woodrow Wilson's election as president, mailing out millions of postcards and simply counting the returns. It was also done for Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, and Franklin Roosevelt in 1932. Back to what we do here a little bit more. I almost cut the video. A different kind of polls that go on. Benchmark poll, generally the first poll taken in a campaign. That's often taken before a candidate announces their bid for an office, but sometimes it happens immediately following that announcement after they have had some opportunity to raise some funds. It's generally a short and simple survey of likely voters. Benchmark poll serves a number of purposes for a campaign, whether it is a political campaign or some other type. First, it gives the candidate a picture of where they stand with the electorate before any campaigning actually takes place. If the poll is done prior to announcing for office, the candidate may use the poll to decide whether or not they should even run for office. Secondly, it shows them where their weaknesses and strengths are in two main areas. The first is with the electorate. A benchmark poll shows them what types of voters they are sure to win, those they are sure to lose, and the in-between and all those extremes. This lets the campaign know which voters are persuadable so they can spend their limited resources in the most effective manner. Second, it gives them an idea of what messages, ideas, or slogans are strongest with the people. Also, we have tracking polls. Tracking polls repeated at intervals, generally averaged over a window of time. For example, a weekly tracking poll uses the data from the past week and discards older data. Our potentials for inaccuracy. Polls based on samples of populations are subject to sampling error, which reflects the effects of chance and uncertainty in the sampling process. The uncertainty is often expressed as a margin of error. The typical accepted margin of error is 3% for the entire population of your sample. A 3% margin of error means that if the same procedure is used a large number of times, 95% of the time, the true population average will be within the 95% confidence interval of the sample estimate, plus or minus 3%. Let's see, something else very important for us, non-response bias. And some people do not answer calls from strangers or refuse to answer the poll. Poll samples may not be representative samples from a population due to a non-response bias. Because of this selection bias, the characteristics of those who agree to be interviewed may be markedly different from those who have declined. Also, a response bias, very, very important for us. Response bias, this is what leads to things like invalidation. Survey results may be affected by response bias, where the answers given by respondents do not reflect their true beliefs. This may be deliberately engineered by unscrupulous pollsters in order to generate a certain result or please their clients, but more often is a result of detailed wording or ordering of questions. Respondents may deliberately try to manipulate the outcome of a poll by advocating a more extreme position than they actually hold in order to boost their side of the argument, or give rapid and ill-considered answers in order to hasten the end of their questioning. Respondents may also feel under social pressure not to give an unpopular answer. For example, respondents might be unwilling to admit to unpopular attitudes like racism or sexism, and thus polls might not reflect the true incidence of these attitudes in the population. In American political parlance, this phenomenon is often referred to as the Bradley effect. If the results of surveys are widely publicized, this effect may be magnified, a phenomenon commonly referred to as the spiral of silence. There's a couple things you can look up on your own: Bradley effect or spiral of silence. The wording of questions. It is well established that the wording of questions, the order in which they are asked, and the number and form of alternative answers offered can influence results of polls. I'm going to read that just one more time. It's very, very important. It is well established that the wording of the questions, the order in which they are asked, and the number and form of alternative answers offered can influence the results of polls. For instance, the public is more likely to indicate support for a person who is described by the operator as one of the leading candidates. This support itself overrides subtle bias for one candidate, as does